Coming back home, the diamond industry is having to adapt to shifting tastes in jewelry and increased competition. The Diamond Conference 2016, currently being held in Botswana, has heard that synthetic diamonds are getting closer to looking like the real thing. But De Beers and the government of Botswana say that they'll continue to work together to ensure the stunning success story of Botswana's diamond wealth continues. SABC business anchor Francis Hurd spoke to the CEO of the De Beers group of companies, Bruce Cleaver.
And as De Beers, you've been trying to revive the market and a lot of talk today about changing consumer tastes and even about how brilliant synthetic diamonds are becoming, which is a threat. How would you describe the state of the diamond industry in the world right now?
So all demand for rough diamonds, which is what we mine and sell, is linked to diamond jewelry consumption. 100% of the value of gem diamonds goes into diamond jewelry consumption in the global markets. So the big four markets are the US, China, India and Japan. 2016 has been a reasonable year for demand in those markets. We see demand's about flat with last year and pretty healthy. The US, the biggest market, growing reasonably, the other markets closer to flat. So actually in general, diamond jewelry consumption is not in a bad place. We sell goods into the real world, so volatility in the world is not particularly good for diamond jewelry consumers generally, but actually 2016 has been a reasonably good to positive year. The rough diamond market, largely what we sell, was more difficult in 2015. There was an excess of stock in the system, and we've seen that work its way out through the course of 2016. So as we go into the key selling season, Christmas in the US is a really, really big season for us. We feel that the industry is in a better place than it was last year, and that the midstream, the folks we sell rough diamonds to, is in a better place. So the phrase we use is we're cautiously optimistic about the Christmas season.
Okay, and what are those changing tastes? Is it interesting, the trends?
There's a fascinating change going on in consumer consumption, and it's worth saying that this doesn't only apply to the diamond world. I don't think there's any business out there that's not facing change. Change is not a bad thing. Change brings major opportunity if you are able to deal with it. We launched in Hong Kong about 2 months ago a very detailed study we did on millennials. So millennials are folks born between 1980 and the year 2000. And we'd heard so much, as we've all heard, about millennials do this, they do that, they don't like buying this, they don't like buying diamonds, etc. So we went out and spoke to 70,000 millennials in the big markets, the US, China and India. Very interesting results. Firstly, they are very invested in the diamond dream. They regard diamond gifting as a very important part of their lives. So that's very good. But there are some different trends. One thing is they reach financial maturity later than their parents, which is not a surprise. But that's an opportunity fact, because as they get older and become more affluent, there's an opportunity for them to be bigger purchasers. Secondly, just in those markets, we think they're up to 220 million potential customers. So there's a huge opportunity there. But they're different, to your point. They don't do things the way their parents did. And so the report is trying to say to the diamond industry that there's a huge opportunity, provided you do things differently. If you carry
so what, they don't do the big stones?
Yeah, they do lots of things differently. So they're much more into individual experiences than maybe their parents were. So that's the first thing. So if you're a retailer or anybody in the diamond industry, you've got to think about how you're going to make your experience with them more individual. So, you know, we say they like to shop online. Well, we all shop online, but they do it differently. They don't just want to shop, they want to engage, they want to blog. So you're going to have to adapt your strategies for that. So, you know, I'll give you another example. They talk about relationships. They have many, many more relationships on social media, for example, than maybe their parents do. But they're telling us they're crying out for meaningful relationships. Now, diamonds can really help to cement a meaningful relationship. And that's in fact what they've done over the generations that we've sold them. So our conclusion was they're very different millennials. And so we as an industry are going to have to think differently about how we market to them. But actually there's a big opportunity if we do it right.
Talking about relationships, your relationship with the Botswanan government described as very unique, and maybe this conference is testament to that. But apparently a bit of stress last year when you were pulling back on some operations, even suspending operations at a mine, and Botswana not happy with that. How is that relationship doing right now?
So as the Vice President said earlier, it's like a marriage, and it's a marriage for life. So we have been in business with the Botswanan government for the best part of 50 years. It's often described as the most successful public-private partnership out there. I don't know if that's true, but I think it's testament to the strength of the relationship. And it's like any marriage. We have times when we don't always agree on everything, but we have always been able to sit down, hear our partners, them hear us, and work out a solution to any of the issues we face that is acceptable to us. So for us, I talk a lot about partnership. I've talked a lot about partnership in my time at De Beers. It's about making that partnership even better than it currently is.
The big word across sub-Saharan Africa is beneficiation. How can more be done? Already you are doing some sorting, some sales here from Gaborone. All the big customers come about 10 times a year, I believe. What can be done to take that further, however, to lead to perhaps an even more equal partnership?
I'd say it's a very equal partnership in any way. In Botswana, the most profitable diamond mines in the world, we are in a 50-50 partnership with our partners, the government. So Botswana is 50-50 owned between De Beers and the government. And the main De Beers holding company, Botswana, has a 15% stake in that business. So Botswana actually has a stake in the De Beers global business, and we think that's very, very important. Beneficiation, we've worked really hard at beneficiation all around the world. So in every country in Southern Africa in which we produce, all the diamonds that are economically able to be cut and polished in those countries, and you'll appreciate that some of the smaller diamonds aren't because the economics don't work, are already beneficiated in those local countries in which they are produced. We led beneficiation in Botswana, in South Africa, and in Namibia in the diamond space. I think the challenge for all us and our government partners is how do we make that more successful? It's not been an easy time for local beneficiation in the last few years. It's more expensive to do it in these countries than in places like India. Access to finance has been a little difficult. I think those are working their way out of the system. But for us, it's equally our aspiration as governments to ensure that we get as much value out of the product in the country in which it is mined.